We have arrived at the very last lesson of Module 6, which is to write and solve two-step equations in the form of P times the sum of x and q is all equal to r. We've already actually learned to solve these. That was the lesson we did the last couple days, and now we're going to take and learn how to write them. According to the textbook, we were going to have, a student goal is to do exactly what it says, and they claim this is going to be a 2-day lesson, but we shall see. Let's get started. Bowling is one of the most popular sports in the United States. Yes, it is a sport. It really is, or at least they say it is. Even though there's no cardio involved, they claim it's still a sport. Anyhow, when you go bowling, you can rent a bowling lane per hour or pay per game. There's also a cost to rent bowling shoes. Suppose you and your 4 friends go bowling and spend a total of $28.80. They pay a certain amount per game and per game per person, and the cost to rent shoes is $3 per person. You can write an equation to model these costs associated with bowling. A bowling alley charges $3 per person to rent shoes, a certain amount per person per game, and 4 friends pay for 1 game and rent 1 pair of shoes. The total cost is $28.80. How can you solve this problem without writing an equation? And then how might writing an equation help you solve this problem more efficiently? These are some of the things we're going to be talking about as we get into this lesson. Our inquiry question says, how can using a bar diagram help you to solve problems involving two-step equations that involve parentheses? Well, let's take a look at it and find out. Annika purchases 3 identical bracelets and a pair of earrings for a total of $25.49. If the earrings cost $11.99, how can you use a bar diagram to find the cost of just 1 bracelet? Draw a bar diagram and be prepared to explain how the bar diagram represents your situation. So let's get into this. First off, of course, you're going to need to draw a whole bar to represent your entire amount. Your entire amount was going to be that $25.49 that we see right there. From there, we're going to take and represent the different pieces. You've got 3 bracelets and 1 set of earrings, and of course the earrings cost right here, that's another important piece of information, $11.99. So from there we can take and put the $11.99 in for the bracelets, or the earrings, excuse me, and they skipped ahead and did that, and then now you got your $11.99 for the earrings, you've got your $25.49 for everything, so 3 times the bracelets plus $11.99 equals your $25.49. If you move forward in the presentation, you can see that's exactly what they ended up writing right there. That's the 3 times the earrings plus the $11.99 equaled the $25.49. Some real-world situations can be used to model, can be modeled by two-step equations in the format that we're working with today. Considering the following problem. Mr. Vargas takes his class of 24 students ice skating. He's a lot nicer than Mr. Reitz is, isn't he? Each student pays an entrance fee to enter the rink and a $4.75 fee to rent skates. The total cost for students to enter the rink and rent skates is going to be $234. What is the ice skating rink's entrance fee? Now we're going to select some cards and we're going to figure out how to work this. Just like when we've done these before, we're going to start off by describing our problem in words. In words, we know that 24, because it's 24 students, times the total cost of each student is going to equal to $234. And then we're going to take and define our variable. Our variable is going to be f, and we're going to let f represent the entrance fee. And we also have that $4.75 that we saw right here, which was what they paid to rent skates. So f for the entrance fee plus the $4.75 is what each student is going to pay. How many students were there? There was 24 students, so your equation is going to be 24 times the sum of the entrance fee and the cost of the skates. That's going to equal your $234. And here we have written an equation to represent this real-world situation. And that gets us to example 1. For example 1, Mackenzie drives the same distance to and from school each day. She also drives 1 3/4 mile round trip each day to go to the library. During a 5-day school week, she drives a total of 50 miles. Question, write and solve an equation to determine the total distance to and from school. So we know we're talking about a 5-day school week here. And we know that she drives 1 3/4 round trip each day to go to the library. And we know that she got a green color. And we also know, so my 5-day one didn't actually highlight that again. There we go. And we know that she drives a total of 50 miles. So all those are going to be important parts of the problem that we're going to put together to solve it. Let's keep moving here. So we're going to select our cards to figure out how we're going to do this. First off, in words, we know that 5, because it's 5 days, times the total distance of each day, that means the distance to school and the distance to the library, equals 50 miles for the entire week. We also know we're going to have a variable, so they let D equal the distance to school, and we already know that the distance to the library is 1 3/4 miles, so D plus 1 3/4 is going to be the total distance for each day. I would have used an S there for school because D makes it sound like it was a whole day's worth. And then if you looked at it as a bar diagram, you had 5 days. Each individual day she drove D miles to school and 1 3/4 miles to the library. So each of the 5 days she drove the same exact thing. That means that you could do an equation of 5 times her daily driving, D plus 1 3/4, is equal to her entire driving for the week. But that was only part of the issue. Now we have to solve it to find out how many miles she drives each day. To do that, they're going to use the division property of inequality, where they took this 5 and they divided it on both sides. The 5's on the left are going to divide each other out, and on the right, 50 divided by 5, that's going to equal to 10. So now I have D plus 1 3/4 is going to equal to 10. Last thing, we're going to subtract 1 3/4 from both sides, and I really don't like it when they do fractions and mixed numbers vertical. You're much better doing those as a horizontal type problem. But either way, that's going to end up giving me 8 1/4, I believe, for the final answer. So 8 1/4, accept and check, and the answer checks itself. Now it's going to be your turn. Pause the video, solve this problem. Vanessa makes 7 identical flower arrangements, so we know it's going to be 7 times something right there. So she has 7 identical flower arrangements for the table of the bouquet. Each arrangement contains some roses and 9 tulips. So we have some number of roses plus 9 tulips. And she uses a total of 147 flowers to make the arrangement. There's my equation. From here we're going to take and isolate the variable. I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 1 times r plus 9, that's r plus 9. 147 divided by 7, that's going to become 21. Then we're going to undo addition and subtraction by subtracting 9 on both sides to get r is equal to 12. Easy math. But the textbook didn't ask for that. It just asked for us to write the equation, which we did. Example 2 says that Jamel and his 2 cousins, that's a total of 3 people, received the same amount of money to go to a movie. Each boy spent $15, and afterwards the boys had $30 altogether. Write and solve the equation to find the amount of money each boy received. So looking at this in words, what do we know? We know that there's 3 boys, so that's going to be 3 times a certain amount of money was given to each boy. And from that, they each spent $15, and from that, they had a total of $30 left. From there, we can pick a variable, and we're going to let M, I like M for this one, stand for the money that each boy received. So the money they received minus $15, that was how much money each boy had left when they were done. From there, looking at that as an equation, is 3 boys times the money they received minus the $15 they spent equaled the remaining $30 that they all had left over combined, because that was a combined money that they had left. And that right there is going to be the equation you're going to use to solve. From here, you're going to jump over and actually start solving it. You could use the division property of equality, or you could use the distributive property. Because 30 is divisible by 3, I'm going to use the division property of equality to go after it. We're going to take and divide by 3 on both sides, here and here. These 3's divide out, so you're going to put a line through them, and 30 divided by 3, well, that's going to end up equaling 10. From there, I can take and say M minus 15 is equal to 10. We're going to undo addition and subtraction by adding 15 to both sides, added it on the left, added it on the right, and the 15s on the left are going to zero each other out, so you put a line through that to get your final answer that says M is equal to 10 plus 15 is going to be 25. So each boy started out with $25 when they headed off to the movies. This is showing your work. This is what I must see. If I see anything less, you will have done it just for fun. And that takes us to the final problem of the day, which you get to work on your own. Extra example 2. You're going to have to figure out which equation to use. After you figure out which equation to use, then you're going to have to solve it to find out the regular price of a single bottle of orange juice. Go ahead and do that now. So our buddy Chin, he buys 5 bottles of orange juice. He has coupons for 65 cents off the regular price of each bottle of juice. After using the coupons, the total cost is going to equal to $6.20. And we want to write an equation to solve this and find the cost of a single bottle of orange juice. And they even tell us what they want the variable to be. They say that the regular price is going to end up being P here. So what do we know? We know that he has 5 bottles. The 5 bottles cost some amount of money. That's going to be the P, the price. And then we're going to subtract from that 65 cents from each bottle of orange juice. So we're going to do the price of the bottle of orange juice minus our 65 cents. From there, the entire thing is going to cost $6.20 after the discount. We're going to undo addition and subtraction. I'm sorry, multiplication and division here by dividing the 5 on both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times P minus 65 cents is going to stay there. And on this side, we're going to have 6.20 divided by 5. 5 goes into 6 ones. 1 times 5 is 5. That's going to leave me with 12 left over. Decimal goes up. 5 goes into 12 2 times, which is 10 with 2 left over. The 0 comes down. 5 goes into 24 times, which is going to end up being 20 with nothing left over. So now we're down to $1.24. Now I do need to jump back over and actually pick the first part of my answer, which was going to be 5 times the price of the orange juice minus 65 cents equals $6.20. That's going to be there. And I'm going to finish up my problem here now by taking and solving the rest of it. I'm going to undo addition and subtraction by adding 65 cents to both sides. When we do that, they zero out here on the left, so I'm going to put a line through it, is equal to, that can become a 9, an 8, and a 1. So the cost for each dollar or each bottle of orange juice before the discount was going to be $1.89. So I'm going to type in our 1.89 here, check, and the answer checks. With that, we are done with this lesson. Get busy working on your homework assignment. If you have any questions, you can bring them to class tomorrow, but I do expect you to make an effort and put it on paper before you're able to ask a question. I'll see you tomorrow.